Hey everyone, so quick Terraria news video. It's only been a few days, but we already have a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. Starting off, somebody wrote to Red and said, I would imagine many people have asked this before, but have you considered having crafting stations pull items from nearby chests even if you haven't opened them? And Red responded, it's a cool idea and I'm always interested in making inventory management easier, but this is a code nightmare. Next up, somebody wrote to Red and said, one item I've always wanted to use but was outclassed by so many of its tier is the Golem Fist. It's an awesome concept but rather hard to use. And Red responded, I guess I can take a look at it. No promises. Actually, before we move on, I know a lot of you watch these videos and ask me, what do I mean when I say that people wrote to Red? Like, how do you write to Red? Where do you leave your own suggestions? Now, usually the posts that I talk about are just ones that are written on Red's wall or just ones that Red has responded to directly. But for the sake of organization, Red actually made a post that said, so what happens when people post suggestions here is that I will skim over it, sometimes comment, and then quickly forget about it. When I'm ready to go over suggestions and actually take notes, I look here at the game suggestions. Now, this is its own section of the official Terraria forums, which I'll leave a link to down below. If you do have a suggestion for the update, make a forum post here, maybe try and get some assets to go along with it, like really explain what you want. And you never know, Red might see it, Red might implement it, and then it will go full circle and you'll end up in one of these videos. Next up, somebody made a suggestion about the gravity globe. It said, the idea is that it would have a radius of effect similar to other placed items. When the player enters that radius, their gravity reverses and remains reversed until either they leave or the globe is turned off. The globe could be turned off either by open/activate or by a wiring interaction. Well, Red responded and said, making this obtainable earlier and usable only when placed could be a lot of fun. Someone made a comment about harpoons balancing, and Red responded, I'd be on the lookout for harpoon changes when the update drops. Next up, somebody asked, are we going to be able to craft lizard brick in 1.4.5? With Red responding, thinking about it. Someone wrote a suggestion that said, I recently noticed when terraforming a world that the ocean was set to the borders of the world. This makes it extremely hard to bring a little more life into that biome when trying to build a bigger ocean without it looking like a flooded desert. Well, Red responded and said, that's an interesting idea, or maybe some kind of ocean monolith. Next up, somebody made a suggestion about phase sabers. For phase blades/sabers, maybe give a small chance to deflect a projectile and have that chance increase when it's made into a saber to make it more than just a colorful true melee stick. And Red simply responded with this emoji, which once again probably means it's being talked about or something is being done with it in the update. I just want to say, ever since I saw this spoiler from Starlight River, this is what I have imagined for phase blades. I wish that this was in Terraria. It looks so good. I know it's of course very modded, but I actually think this would fit really well with those melee reworks that happened in 1.4.4. Next up, somebody made a suggestion that said extra long platform. Basically, a platform version of the rope coil. 10 platforms in one item that deploy at the same time. I'd be fine with just flat platforms, but if you can get stairs out of that, that'd be cool too. Maybe this can apply to minecart tracks too. Well, Red responded and said, I still want platform shoes. And I agree. I feel like platform shoes might be a little too powerful, but they would be so cool though. Before we move on, in the past 28 days, 66.2% of people that watch these videos are not actually subscribed. We are on the way to 2 million subscribers, and if you're one of those people, please do consider clicking that button. Next up, somebody was making a prediction on when they thought 1.4.5 would release. Well, Red was actually kind enough to jump in and give us a new estimate and said that it's at minimum several months away, maybe longer. And one thing you've got to keep in mind here is that 1.4.5 did begin life as a very small update to introduce the content from Dead Cells and then a couple of extra things that were like hangovers from 1.4.4. But as we've been able to see throughout this year and these interactions with Red and the community and just Relogic as a whole, clearly this update has expanded in scope. Now, that's not to say that this will probably be a large update, but it is clearly pushing out of that boundary of just a small update. And with that does come an extended release date, but I think I speak for the community when I say yeah, that's cool. I mean, we're all kind of used to this now, right? Updates take time, but they're always worth it. Now, in the last video, we spoke about the Skyblock seed. So somebody did make a new suggestion that said, currently Terraria is not completable, giving starting conditions that consist of a single 200 block wide dirt platform. Now, of course, I'm not going to read the full thing because it's quite long, but this was Red's reply. I've already given slimes a small chance to have grass seeds, jungle grass seeds, and acorns. Jungle grass seeds can be shivered into mushroom grass seeds. Dungeon brick can be crafted out of hard mode ore now, and I'm considering making the old man spawn point periodically look for a dungeon tile if one isn't set. This would allow players to build their own dungeon and fight Skeletron if one never existed. Not sure if map makers can accomplish this, though maybe T-Edit can provide that functionality. I'm also exploring the idea of a freeze bomb that turns water into ice blocks. I do really like the idea of buckets filling up with rain. I'm going to talk to the team about that. Edit, we could make Plantera drop lizard stuff if your world has none. Next up, somebody made a post that said, it's been on my mind for some time now. I just feel like the Sky Island biomes should have something a tad more interesting on them, aside from amazing loot, of course. We could spice up the islands by adding a unique wood and or grass to them that only grows at high altitude. It seems pretty cool. Red responded, I've wanted cloud/star trees for the longest time, but never felt it necessary to spend artist time on. Next up, somebody said, for some reason, guide voodoo dolls are stackable, but not the clothy ear ones. Maybe this is a glitch or it's intentional, but thought I'd bring it up. And Red simply responded, sure. Next up, somebody made a suggestion that said it would be cool to have a sword on your back in vanilla Terraria. It could be a special keybind or using the vanity accessory slot. The keybind option I feel most players would prefer so they wouldn't have to give up their sword, and seeing gold broadsword vanity accessory would be a little funny. Red responded and said, I don't see any way of making this look good without a new back sprite for every weapon. You are welcome to Photoshop up some examples to change my mind. Someone responded and said, maybe something like this with a couple of examples. And Red responded, I don't know why, but this makes me wish we had a sword summon/pet that could be any of the swords you've collected so far. Next up, somebody wrote to Red and said, people aren't gonna like this, but oh well. In Featherworthy, where all the bosses got the AI changes from Zenith Seed in it in 1.4.4, when I played it and didn't get murked by a moon boulder, I was so sad. Is it possible that we could see the Moonlord boulder in Featherworthy as well in 1.4.5? Well, Red responded and said, good news, I'd made that change already. And then for our final one today, yesterday, Red put up a status that said, outside of our planned developer stuff, I like to work on little pet projects here and there. Got a big list of notes I'm going to toy around with this weekend. And we actually got a first look at one of these pet projects in action. Now, I don't know how they're implementing these into Terraria. Like, where are these really going to show up? Genuinely, seeing this spoiler has actually made my day. Knowing that this is a pet project, it just brings me such joy. This is awful, but genuinely, thank you. Like, it's perfect. You know, it's really good. So I want to hear from you lot down below. Where would you put these slimes? Are they a feather-worthy thing? Are they just like cruising on the surface regardless of what you play? Leave me a comment down below. All right, so that's it for today. Remember, if you do have a suggestion, please go to the right part of the forums. I feel really bad. People keep bombarding Red. It's partly my fault, I'm not gonna lie. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.